Right now, on to the point. The redistricting battle. Governor Newsom hosting Texas Democrats who left their state.
What's happening in the United States of America is not normal. We cannot allow this to be considered normal.
And new developments on what could happen here.
We are only a few months away from a potential special election to redraw congressional maps. Hear how officials here in Placer County are preparing.
Justice for who?
Najee! Emotional moments in court as family and friends learn the fate of a man who shot and killed a Natomas football coach. And on the back roads, a scenic trip to the deepest lake in the country and why time is running out to explore it this summer. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell, and we do start with breaking news. Crews are battling a wildfire out in Amador County. Right now, the Tiger Fire is burning south of the town of Pioneer. You can see this map showing the evacuation areas. There are also power outages reported. I want to bring in ABC 10's Garshpal Sangha, who's live from Amador County right now. Garshpal, tell us what you're seeing from the ground out there. How are things looking?
Yeah, Alex, crews have been busy with this fire and things have been looking much better than it did just a few hours ago. But you can take a look at that smoke there in the distance. It's a lot less, as I mentioned, just a few hours ago. But this is the closest we can get to the fire because of cell service issues. But let's go and show you some video that we did take when we were closer to the fire, and this fire is burning in a steep canyon, and that is why they have been using aerial attack with retardant and water drops. So a lot of helicopter, airplane help with this fire, and when it is safe for crews to go in there, that is when the real fight starts. Now, we drove much of that area. From what we have seen, the wildfire is mostly south of Tiger Creek Road, east of Black Prince Road, and that fire igniting around 1 o'clock hour, and then right now it's estimated to be around 84 acres. Currently, it is 0% containment, but you can take a listen. Helicopters in the air, so they have been at it for the past few hours, and they're trying to get as much a fight from the air as they can before sun is down. So right now they're trying their best to get this fire out, but right now things are looking a lot better. Road closures still in place, evacuation orders still in place, and power outage still in place. So right now they're just making sure this fire is out. But again, it's in a very steep area, so they're trying their best. Reporting live in Amador County, Garshpal Sangha, ABC 10.
All right, Garshpal, thank you so much. Now, fire crews continue to battle the canyon fire out in Ventura County. The fast-moving brush fire started near Lake Piru and spread into Los Angeles County. Evacuation orders remain in effect. The fire has burned more than 5,000 acres and is currently sitting at about 25% containment. New developments tonight in the redistricting battle in Texas that could trigger a special election here. California leaders now say that voters could get a first look at a redrawn congressional map next week. There could be a special election in November if Texas redraws its districts. Texas Democrats left earlier this week to prevent that from happening. Now, today, several Texas Democrats were seen with Governor Newsom, Nancy Pelosi, and other California leaders in a news conference at the governor's mansion. Here's what Nancy Pelosi had to say about a special election here.
It's not wrong in what we're doing. This is self-defense for our democracy.
Now, there are many criticizing a possible special election, including a former member of the state's independent redistricting commission. Meanwhile, local counties are doing their best to prepare if an election were to happen in November. You're going to be hearing a lot more coming up on this issue a little bit later in our show, so make sure that you stay with us. And the race for California governor has one less candidate. Today, Eleni Kounalakis announced that she will be dropping out. Probably a familiar name for you because that is the state's current lieutenant governor. She was the first candidate to enter this race back in April of 2023. She will stick with the campaign season, though, announcing that she is running for state treasurer. With her background in the business world, Kounalakis said running for treasurer instead will allow her to have the greatest impact on the state's financial future. So here's a look at what she had to say earlier today on X. She said, "This decision was not made lightly. Over the course of my campaign for governor, I've had the opportunity to engage with Californians across the state, listening to their concerns, hopes, and ideas for a stronger, more equitable future." But here's a look at the remaining Democrats still in the race. Take a look at this. They include former Assembly Speaker Antonio Villaraigosa, former State Controller Betty Yee, former Congresswoman Katie Porter, former State Senator Tony Atkins, State Schools Superintendent Tony Thurmond, and former Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra, as well as former Vice President Kamala Harris. She announced just last week that she will not be joining the race for governor. Now, on the Republican side, candidates include Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, former Fox News host Steve Hilton, businessman Leo Zaki, business consultant Sharifa Hardy, and businessman Brandon Jones. We are following breaking news in Atlanta, Georgia. A suspect is dead and a police officer was also shot and killed after an active shooter at Emory University. The campus is also near CDC headquarters where bullets hit several windows. Students and staff were told to shelter in place and avoid the area. All right, coming up onto the point, students and staff told to shelter in place after reports of an active shooter, the story that we just brought you. But coming up after the break, we have a different story. We have an emotional day in the court we have more updates on a coach that was killed. We have the man who was sentenced, and we're also going to be hearing from his family about the heartbreak that they're turning into action.
We're tracking 100s in the valley for today, marking day number 5 this year. More 100s in store this weekend.
But first, another headlines tonight. A meeting between President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin will happen next Friday in Alaska. This comes as Ukrainian soldiers express little hope for a diplomatic solution to the ongoing war. Trump's deadline for the Kremlin to make peace also arrived today. Governor Newsom says the state will sue the Trump administration as the Department of Justice now asks for a $1 billion settlement from the UC system. It's to settle federal accusations of anti-Semitism at UCLA. UCLA's president says the school is reviewing the Department of Justice document, and a settlement of this size would devastate the university. Astronaut James Lovell has died. He was commander of the 1970 Apollo 13 mission that managed to get back to Earth safely after an oxygen tank explosion. He was 97 years old. Lovell was also part of the Apollo 8 flight that became the first to circle the moon and was one of NASA's most traveled astronauts through its early years, going into space 4 times. All right, let's get things over to Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods with a look at your weather headlines, because things are definitely heating up these next couple days.
It is summer on full display here, with our headlines starting off with tonight's temperatures on the warm side. Tomorrow, widespread 100s, moderate heat risk. Now, the 80s make a return deeper in the forecast, but we got to wait to get to that point, because today marked one of the top 5 warmest days so far this year, 101. That's going to come awfully close to the warmest day we've seen so far this year, 102. But again, we haven't seen a whole lot of this type of heat. It's taking a toll. It's going to be a little bit of time until we adjust to this. Temperatures currently still in the upper 90s to near 100 in the valley. Tahoe right now 78 degrees with sunny skies. Sunset 8:08. At that point, we'll start to see some cooling, but we got to get there first. Also, for tonight, we got that full moon. Should be gorgeous early tomorrow morning. Following that, we have the Perseid meteor shower on the 12th. The only thing is, on the heels of that full moon, we're still going to see a lot of light in the sky, so it may not be one of the most dynamic displays. But for the Perseids, it's the biggest meteor show we have of the year. Forecast for tomorrow, morning lows starting off in the 60s. Highs warm to 101, well above that average high of 92 degrees. Sunset tomorrow is at 8:07, so we get a little bit of relief a few minutes earlier. It's all because of that high pressure ridge. It does start to lose some steam here as a low develops to the north of us, and that's just going to knock that down from dominating the forecast. Once it does that, we actually have a likely cooler scenario setting up for the middle of August all the way until almost the end of August. Highs, though, for tomorrow, definitely it's summer. 80s up top for this year, 90s and 100s down the hill. We're talking 105 for Ione, 104 for Oroville. Across the coast, we're going to keep it in the 70s with a mix of sun and clouds. Inland areas, 90s and 100s. Once we get to Rio Vista, we're at 100, 105 for Tracy, 102 for Vacaville. Up and down the valley, we've got 100s between about 100 to 107. Calusa's looking at a high of 107 tomorrow afternoon. So our 5-day regional forecast, we start to get a little hint that there's cooling coming our way by the middle of next week. Again, this weekend going to be one of the hottest that we've had in quite some time. This stretch of temperatures is going to be the warmest that we've seen since the end of May. Our 3-day forecast showing some of the stretch of 100s continuing through Sunday. Monday, still in the upper 90s. It's not until we get to the middle of next week that we finally start to see some relief with highs in the 80s.
All right, Monica, thank you. Right after the break, a beloved coach shot and killed, but today a family faces the man responsible as he faces years in prison. And a little bit later in the show, Bartell's Back Roads goes beyond the California border to the deepest lake in the country before it closes. New developments tonight in the redistricting battle in Texas that could trigger a special election here. As ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen reports, local counties are doing their best to prepare, but not everyone is on board with bypassing the independent Redistricting Commission.
As state leaders prepare for a potential special election, officials here in Placer County say they are doing the basic prep work. Meanwhile, a former member of the Redistricting Commission tells me she believes a special election is not the answer. Placer County officials are planning a possible special election in November.
We have to find our volunteers, which is 500 to 600 people, and we had to go and make sure that we have enough envelopes, enough ballot paper.
But planning is limited when it's unclear what will happen. On top of that, officials say it'll cost the county about $2 million of money they don't currently have.
We don't have the money to conduct this election. There's no guarantee that the state will actually pay for this election.
It comes as Texas Democrats fled their own state to break quorum, joining California leaders as the battle to redistrict continues in their state. Governor Gavin Newsom says California is preparing for a special election in response to President Donald Trump.
His agenda is failing. This presidency is failing. He knows the headwinds in a midterm. He's dialing for seats.
Congressional maps are normally drawn by the state's independent redistricting commission. Jean Raya is a former member and says what California is doing right now is contrary to the will of the voters.
It violates everything about independent redistricting. It's being done on a purely partisan basis.
A part of the 2010 commission, she says it took 10 months to draw maps. And what lawmakers are doing now is not being done in a transparent manner.
Maps are being drawn behind closed doors, so voters are not going to have an opportunity to see those maps and propose changes.
But Speaker of the Assembly, Robert Rivas, says the new maps will be available soon and noted the Redistricting Commission.
Maps we anticipate will be available next week. Our work began with the work that was already done, as the governor just mentioned, by our independent redistricting commission.
Former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi doubled down and says this is in defense of what the Trump administration is doing to the country.
It's not wrong in what we're doing. This is self-defense for our democracy.
As the legislature works to meet the August 22nd deadline to formalize what would go on the ballot, Raya believes this isn't what voters would want.
Completely contrary to the will of the voters who passed the independent commission.
ABC 10 also reached out to Sacramento County officials to see how they are preparing. A spokesperson tells me right now they are just waiting and won't start recruiting workers or volunteers until they get official word that an election is actually happening. In Sacramento, Jeannie Nguyen, ABC 10.
Well, the man responsible for the 2020 shooting that killed 31-year-old Greg Najee Grimes, an Indicrum High School football coach, was sentenced today. ABC 10's Austin Castro has a closer look at what happened in court.
Justice for who? Najee!
Family and friends of Greg Najee Grimes gathering on Friday following the sentencing of the man who shot and killed him, Taji Michael.
We know it won't change the course of what happened because we can't get Greg back, but we're hoping that it saves another person's life.
Michael agreed to a plea deal, accepting a sentence of 25 years to life for the July 2022 shooting of Grimes. Grimes was a beloved Indicrum High School football coach. The 31-year-old was shot and killed by Michael outside a Sacramento nightclub near 15th and L Streets. Michael was arrested in February 2024 in North Carolina.
This isn't just about one man, Mr. Michael, who used a firearm. It is bigger than that. And our community is hurt every day by the violence that we see on the streets with the use of guns.
1 month after Najee's funeral, his mother, Deborah, and her husband honored his legacy with the creation of the Greg Najee Grimes 212 Anchor Foundation.
I really search my own soul for this because it is very difficult to fathom what it is I should be talking about with this person who so tragically impacted our lives.
The foundation holds workshops on life-saving tools in the event of an emergency, raises awareness on gun violence, and provides scholarships to young athletes. They're hoping to use this healing process and Najee's memory as a way to empower the local community.
It's about valuing life It's about purpose. It's about all the things that our son stood for.
And loved ones plan on continuing their fight to end gun violence and preventing tragedies like this from happening ever again. We're back right after this break. Well, you never know what you'll see on the back roads. Tonight, John Bartel heads north into Oregon to visit Crater Lake National Park before the only trail to the water is closed for repairs.
It's often referred to as the crown jewel of Oregon. Crater Lake National Park, home to the deepest lake in the United States, bottoming out at depths of 1,943 feet. It also holds some of the cleanest and clearest water in the world. But if you want to get down to the water, the only way to get there is on the Cleetwood Cove Trail, a grueling, steep, 1-mile-long walking path that's unfortunately about to close.
There are trees that have fallen, rocks that have decided to find a new home, things that just need to be repaired. And it's come time that the trail needs some major TLC.
Summer of 2025 will be the last time the general public will be allowed to get to Crater Lake's cobalt blue colored waters until trail repairs are finished in 2029.
So this is temporary. It's been temporary for a number of years.
Park Ranger Audrey Golden says the reason for the lengthy repairs is because for about 9 months out of the year, roads and trails into Crater Lake are covered in snow. That means construction crews have a short window to fix the failing trails, bathrooms, and boat launch.
To get all the equipment that we need and materials we need down to the lake, it is not safe on this trail to have them going up and down with materials and park visitors as well.
Knowing this would be my last chance to get down to the water, I asked Audrey for the grand tour.
What you're looking at is a lake that was formed because the top 5,000 feet of a 12,000-foot mountain decided to collapse back down into the earth where the material originally came from.
Crater Lake is the result of multiple volcanic implosions and explosions that happened 7,700 years ago. Left behind was a crater or caldera 5 miles wide for water to collect in.
This is a closed system. There are no rivers or streams that allow sediment, pollution, plants or animals into the lake. So the only way that water gets into Crater Lake is from precipitation, so rain and snow. On a good day, we can see down about 100 to 104 feet.
The water in Crater Lake is not only clean and clear, but it also holds some mystery.
Just off the bow of the boat, we're going to make a few laps. You're going to see something sticking up out of the water up here. It's the Old Man of Crater Lake. Who here has heard of the Old Man?
To learn more about the mysterious water, it's best to catch a boat tour of the lake with interpreter Marley Kinsman.
The Old Man is a 30-foot long mountain hemlock log who stands vertically up in the lake and just bobs around all throughout the day. He was first spotted in the lake in 1896, but he has been carbon dated beyond 450 years old.
It's unclear why or how the Old Man has survived so many years in Crater Lake, but Marley provides tourists like me with a possible explanation.
And I will tell everybody else soon on the boat, but this is also known, Crater Lake is also known as the Fountain of Youth. All of our employees, while we might look very young, very beautiful, we are averaging anywhere between 100 and 1,000 years old.
Crater Lake water is so clean, it's safe to drink right out of the lake, and Marley says the national park is the only place you can taste it because though scientists have discovered a leak in the lake, they are not sure where the water goes.
We sampled water from many local waterways, and not a single one has any trace of Crater Lake water. So where it goes after it leaves the Palisades really is a mystery.
There are so many more mysteries to see on the boat tour, including what's living on Wizard Island and what's below the rocky outcrop of Phantom Ship. That's one heck of a hike. Unfortunately for visitors, those lake mysteries can't be explored until repairs to the Cleetwood Trail are completed in 2029.
It is going to be disappointing for a lot of visitors, but in the end, we will have a much better trail, a safer trail.
From Crater Lake National Park, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
Thank you so much for joining us on this Friday night. And as always, you can reach out to our team if there's something going on in your community that we should know about. Have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday.